Alright guys, how's everyone going? So, I know I just decided to take a government mandated 30-minute break from driving because, you know, everyone loves when the government tells you something to do. But I decided to take it in the desert rather than going to the Los Angeles area where I'm headed. But thought it'd give me a good idea to talk about bugging out in the desert. Now, obviously bugging out in the desert's not something you're going to want to do. It'd be the last thing you want to do. I know it's like 101 degrees out, really hot. But, been here before. I want to talk about some shelters that you might find in the desert, being abandoned buildings, like this one. It's an old school. These places have a lot of hazards. I'll talk about them. Okay guys, so being in the desert doesn't get a whole lot of rain, but these places can still be very dangerous health-wise. Now when it does rain here in the desert, you can get a lot of rain. When you get a lot of rain, it can pool, and it can still create a lot of mold, a lot of health issues. So if you're going to bug out and find yourself in the desert, be aware, finding a place like this could be very hazardous to your health. Now, one thing I would suggest, if you're going to find yourself in some situation where you have to call this place home for any amount of time, obviously you're going to want to clean it up really good. You're going to want to have some sort of facial covering, not because of the mandate, but because, well, obviously look at the place. Now, a building like this is quite big. So, SHTF, without rule of law, you're going to want to set up some sort of perimeter, someplace you can defend it or defend yourself. Something like this probably wouldn't be the greatest idea, just because of how big it is. However, cleaned up and fixed up right, I think this place could actually be a decent place to bug out to, under certain circumstances at least. These circumstances would be you can't find anywhere else, and it's one of the only shelters in the area that still actually has somewhat of a roof. One of the biggest advantages of finding a place like this in the desert for bugging out is, like I said, it's 102 degrees or 101 degrees outside, but in here it feels quite a bit better. Now, in the desert, bugging out, two things are probably going to be your biggest issue. One, you're going to want to find shelter as soon as you can, and another one, you're going to want to find water as soon as you can, because water sustains life. Remember, 3 days without water. Outside, there's obviously some sort of moisture that these plants can absorb. And one way you can extract water from the desert is quite simple. All you have to do is have a plastic bag, come over to some plants, this, green, make sure it's not poisonous. You can wrap a bag around it, and the water will evaporate from inside of the plant and go inside the bag. Now make sure the bag is sealed tight around the plant so water doesn't escape. Now guys, remember, bugging out in the desert is a last resort. There isn't a whole lot of resources out here, and if you want to do bushcraft sort of stuff, you're going to find yourself in a pickle. I mean, probably the best building materials we got out here are these palm trees. Not a whole lot out here. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one.